this tank, there are only 3 or 4 other things needed which you will have to come up with. Evidently you have already found a VCR or stole it and are using somebody's TV or in a library, so that takes care of that. This is the tank you'll receive, which has a quick fill gas cap remover on it, which is a pressure unit. Once popped, it will pop open by itself. It is held down very securely by the latch, if you can push that hard. Everything else you will receive is in the bracket, starting with the 2 lower rails which hook underneath the tank and to your frame. The 2 caps hook to the tank. All the fittings on the large hose have already been installed for you, because it is not an easy job and it has to be done correctly or you will end up with leaks. This other hose, which is the vent hose, which goes up on top, will be partially put together when you get it. One end will be off, and you'll see in the video later on how to put the other end on. You have a license plate bracket. The 2 fittings you're laying here right now are for the vent hose. The screws are for the 2 wiring connectors are to hook up to your license plate light. The wire is supplied. There are 2 large crush washers laying next to a bulkhead fitting, which will be used later on. The 2 drills you see right here are the type drill you then need to borrow or buy in order to drill the tank. Do not use, and I'm going to repeat it, do not use a regular drill, as the tanks are not stiff enough to keep the drill from tearing it. The washers laying here by the bulkhead fittings or up above them are strictly used as a dry joint and are not to be greased or have any Permatex or anything put on them. The 2 caps right here are block-off caps, which we will show you where they go. They are only to be carried with you so that if you need to remove something, you have a way of stopping the gas from going anywhere when you remove it. 4 screws here are for the license plate. The 2 top hat washers here are for the top of the tank. You have 2 screws, 2 bolts and 2 washers which hold the top of the tank on. The fitting right there at the top, which is a 90, is used to put the air vent back on the top of the tank. The 2 rubber grommets right here, holders, are used to hold the line to the bottom rail. 2 bolts here are to replace the 2 bolts that go through your muffler and are slightly longer than the regular bolts. Have lock nuts with them. These 2 right here are used to put the tank onto the top of the motorcycle, and you will see that. Also, you're going to need a little other things, like maybe a can of genuine draft, that's a Ron Major's thing, and some Advil, so that when you get done, or if you don't get done, you can take care of the pain. We didn't have anything for headaches, because you're going to need them. This system was considered to be foolproof, but that's only because no fools got near it. Now it's no longer foolproof because I know somebody's going to decide to change something. If you decide to change anything other than what you see in this video, you're making a mistake, because this has all been worked out and redone several times in order to make sure that none of this braided steel line will eat your wiring or anything else up, and that's why it's put in this position. Please try to put it again exactly as shown in the video. If you cannot understand something, please rewind the tape a few times and look it over until you're sure you understand what you're seeing. Thank you very much. Since reviewing the original video, we decided there's some things you really need to know about this stuff that we just take for granted you know, and that isn't the right way to do it. Make sure that you disconnect the battery cable from the bike by the ground wire, because they don't want you shorting the bike out or shorting one of the wires out while you're trying to hook them up. Any gas you drain, try to keep it away from where the bike is, and try to use anything where you're using gasoline, like to drill the tank and stuff. Use plenty of ventilation so it does not cause a fire or something. There's hardly, you'd have to start a fire, but as far as this goes, but still you make it where there's plenty of ventilation. Also, I noticed that Ron Major's, when he sold these tanks originally, and I give credit for Ron for everything, this is really a sweet unit, had a disclaimer that he sent out with the tanks which stated that these are for either racetrack or off-road, simply because in order to have this system certified by the federal government,
as EPA safe and everything else, you couldn't buy one of these tanks. These damn things would cost you $2,000 or $3,000. By the time you got everything done with them, it'd be murder. It wouldn't be changing the tank it would cost so much. It's all the legal papers and time it take you to get this thing sanctioned by either NASCAR or somebody. But this is a proven system. Between three bikes we have here and a couple others I know of since this system has been put on. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 40,000 miles on it. Not a breakdown, not a leak, not a bit of trouble, and it hasn't caused the bike any trouble. So you ought to really enjoy this thing a lot once you get it on. So like I said, number one, do not use empty gas in an enclosed area. Unhook the battery as soon as you get the unit drained, and this will drain it very fast. Then everything ought to go just real smooth. I hope you enjoy your system because we had a good time figuring it out and sending it to you. And we'll see you later on in the film. Thank you very much.
Here, none of us work as motorcycle mechanics except me. So the people you see putting it in are no different than anybody. Well, yeah, they're a little bit different, but we'll just talk about that later. First of all, we have the, where'd he go? There he is. That's the guinea pig right there. His bike is the one we're using to do this. And this is his friend Joe. So this is Stan Fisher, and I don't know what Joe's last name is. That's Joe Handup. This is Holly Harrison, Harrison Industries. And here's the ST1100 we're going to do today. This bike is, for all intent purposes, nothing's been done to it or touched so far. So the first thing we're going to do is strip the seat, a few other items off, and when we get it, as we get it down, we'll show you what we've taken off and how far you need to take your bike down to in order to install this system. So let's start taking the thing apart. Joe, you want to take off your saddlebags and that kind of, Stan, take off your saddlebags, set them out in front where they won't get scratched, and then we'll slowly take the bike apart. I'm going to go away for a second here on the camera until we get enough tore down on the bike, and I'll come back and show you at a point where you need to know what comes off. You're also going to have to take off the rear mud flap where, for the rear tire where the tank is going to hang, a few other items, and at the time we get it down far enough, we'll show you exactly what you need to take off. Remember to put all the bolts, screws, nuts, anything you take off in one place. Some of these do not go back, and I repeat it, do not go back on, but you'll want to keep them in case later on you were to put your bike back to stock if you sold it or something, so that all the parts are here. Don't lose anything, put it all in one place. Okay, at this point we removed quite a bit from the bike. You have to take off the two side panels, the seat, the top air cleaner cover. Make sure you don't lose any of the bolts. If nothing else, put them back where they came from until a later time. Not much more than this has to be taken off the bike at this point. The air cleaner, complete, has to be removed for ease of access to take the tank in and out without trying to force or break any lines. So we're going to go ahead and take the air cleaner as far off as we have to take it. And when we're done here, what we will show you is I will give you a picture showing you and explaining to you all the tools that you will probably need to do this job, because we're putting them aside as we use them. So we're going to take the air cleaner off. Notice he has his PIAs hooked to his air cleaner, so the PIAs don't get fogged.
We're going to have to...
Oh, by the way, I introduced everybody else, but this gentleman right here, which is Ray Blair, I called up Vista Studios from Disney, and they said the only person we could borrow from them would be Goofy, and I said, no, we've already got him. So this is the rest of our help. Yeah, thank you very much, too. He's a safety salesman. He sells safety equipment, that is.
That was thank you very little.
Yeah.
Finish emptying the gas tank. of any of the gas in it before you get started, because this thing is pretty tough to get out when you got 7 gallons of gas in it. Without taking this off, when you pull off this panel, right beside the battery is a little post. Take the cap off, you can hook a lead to that. Then you hook another lead to this post right here. This will give you power so that you can turn on the pump in the gas tank and allow it to run. But before you do that, pull this tab back, disconnect this line, and hook a line on a rubber hose onto this line and extend it down into a gas tank. Do that first, then hook up to your power lead off of the battery, and as soon as you touch the wire to this post right here, you will have power on the pump and you're going to start pumping gas.
So we should disconnect this also.
Oh yeah, disconnect this lead before you get started.
And this section was in the original, but it was either not filmed or something. You will notice in the video the complete side panel for removing the battery. Once you have used the electric to pump the tank dry, disconnect the ground cable from the battery and leave it disconnected so you don't end up shorting something out or cooking yourself.
It has to be taken out.
Gas pump.
The gas pump sending it the whole 9 yards.
When you take the gas pump out, there is a small hose that hooks in right here that you have to disconnect before you can take the pump out.
And it's best, the easiest way to lift the tank out is to run a nylon strap from these 2 tie downs on the side of the tank so you have something to lift on.
This hose, all you have to do is reach in and put your finger on it and push it off to the side and it'll push off. Now, the gas pump will not come straight out. You have to kind of angle it, make sure you clear the clip over here.
Don't force any of this stuff, because if you bend it, you're going to make your receiving unit read falsely, and you will actually have gas left or not enough gas left when it tells you that you're empty. Try not to bend or force any of it.
Now, come on. And it will drain gas all over if you're not careful.
Looks like we aren't quite drained. I don't know why it didn't go all the way down. It should have. But it doesn't look like there's much in there, Holly.
That's about right.
There's a little fuel.
It will leave a few ounces of gas in the bottom of the tank, which you'll just have to pour out. But the way it was showing, it will pump the gas, whatever you have in there,
Now,
out.
before you pull the gas tank out of the system itself, over here on the side of the tank is the electrical hookup to send
Your fuel gauge.
your fuel gauge. You have to disconnect that, which is this little red tab here, before you pull the tank out, or you're going to be in a world of hurt. And we can't stress enough that anything that you're doing, if you have to force it, something's wrong. Don't force anything. Okay, now we got these 2 left to disconnect. Should they're all 12 big ones. Is that right?
Yes, out.
Okay. Okay, can you swing around here? As you lift this out, there's a cross brace here on the frame that you have to clear right here when you pull the tank out. Okay.
All right, ready?
Hey, no, hang on. Make sure this thing's out of my road completely. Oh, thank you. Make sure that.
There we go.
Okay. Boy, what a dirty bike. Did you get that screw?
No, yeah.
Oh, there.
large washer, which goes on the outside against the grommet, has to be saved and used for the other. The bolts that are supplied with this have their own nylock nuts on them, so that you will not have to use the ones that came in it. So you can put these together as units and save them. This is part of the stuff I talked about that you need to save in case something that you would change all of this. Otherwise, they're not to be used for anything at all. They are too short. The longer bolts that were supplied with the set are the right length, no problem.
Try to drain the rest of this gas into this tank. Do you have a funnel, Jim? Or is not oil?
What do you need?
I want to drain the rest of this gas out, and I don't want to dump it on the asphalt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll try to keep everything together as we go, so that there's nothing to guess with. Put the washer on the new nut and bolt that you're going to use, so that you don't have to remember where any of these washers came from. It's very simple. That way they don't get in a pile mixed up to where you're wondering, well, where did I get this at? Because if you do it this way, you will know where it came from. Okay, what we're doing right now is I'm going to remove the rear axle. The rear tire needs to come out, and there are a few things in here that you're going to have to take out when you take it out, so that you have complete access, and we'll show you why you need the tire out to install this later. Like I said, try to keep everything where you need to have it at. I'm going to have to get a bolt and take off the wrench and take off the rear caliper, so that when we slide this out, everything will move around where it's supposed to go. And then get it wrenched right here. Okay. We'll leave this setting down right in here to where we know where it is.
Yeah, that radar, I mean, that CZ is really slick.
How tight was yours torqued down, Holly?
I'm sorry, what?
How tight was your rear axle torque? Do you remember? Well, I've got a book so I can torque it back up. I don't believe it's supposed to be quite that tight.
Well, if you ever notice that the tire changing shops, when they change a tire, they don't torque it.
Yeah, they just air ratchet
Air ratchet.
or as tight as they can get it.
Torque it till it breaks and back it off a notch.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I think let's see what size that is in the other one. I believe that's in don't believe it's half. Some of these wrenches will be that you'll use if you don't have all the Americans. You can remember that there are a few things that work out real neat. That's a 9/16 is a 14 millimeter, a 1/2 is a 13 millimeter, and a 7/16 is equal to an 11 millimeter if you don't have all the wrenches you need. Those will work. Caliper down to the frame, to the swing arm on this side. Get it out, then we can pull the caliper up off and pull the tire completely out. Caliper will then rotate on here. You do not need to get the bolt past the muffler. You can simply take a bolt out far enough, wiggle the caliper side to side. That will release the brake enough to get it off. Supposedly, once we pull the axle out. Push the axle out from the other side, would you? You'll have to lift slightly on the muffler in order to get the axle out. There's a groove in the bottom of the muffler. Get a Phillips, a long Phillips, and push it out. See, all that's about how much you have to lift, just a little bit. There's already a groove there, but it won't quite let it come out. Okay, now, give me the nut for this axle. Okay. Now you should be able to, with just a little bit of work, you can take this and hang it to one side. That's as far as you need to go. Put the bolt back in the axle for the retainer. At this time, you can simply roll the tire out the back, set it to one side. This bike needs greased. If you let these splines and everything in here get dry, and this one is fairly dry, it can cause you a lot of trouble. Evidently, the last time the tire was changed, they didn't re-grease the splines back in here very heavily, right in this area. Should really pack that with grease. So we'll pack it before we put it back together.
Yeah, I'm reading the manual, and it's saying a thin coat. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
well,
using. You're saying to pack it in there.
yeah, they will tell you
that
that if you don't, it will slowly but surely eat up the splines in there. A thin coat doesn't really get it. Okay, now, you've got the tank fully drained.
You know where those pictures are? There's one last thing I want to check. When you take the tank out, completely drain all of the gas out. There'll be a little bit left over. You'll have to flip it over and drain it out into a funnel into a gas can. After you've done that, wipe out, take a rag, wipe out the excess gas that's left over inside. Now, there's a rubber heat shield on the bottom of the tank. Leave that on there. And what you're going to do, there's a hole in the heat shield right here. What you want to do is take a scribe and scribe in here a mark onto the gas tank, because it's very important. You're going to need that for your reference. Okay, I've already scribed out the circle in here. And all it's holding on here are two push tabs in the front, which you're supposed to pull out real easy. And then there's just some tape holding it down on the sides. And right here, there's supposed to be a little tab up through holding it down, but the factory obviously didn't put that on. You just pull this off. Here's the scribe left. Now, where your fitting is going to go through is going to be right here to the side. It's just kind of offset and up. It's very close. It's right where the tank starts to bend up. What we're going to do is drill a hole with the unibits. Once we get the holes drilled, then we're going to have two flat, large washers that we're going to go through, tighten down real snug to get this area of the tank to flatten out. That's very important. If you don't have the tank flattened out when you put the bulkhead fitting in and the seals, it will leak. So this is a very important thing that you want to take care of. Okay, you can stop now.
What I'm doing right now is I'm making a template that I'm going to send in this thing with you. What I've done here is I've gone to the hole, or you could do this yourself if you had to. This is the hole that you just scribed, and I'm going to run this out and mark both ends of the tank. You'll notice that the tape goes right down where the crease on this one works, so that there's no guesswork as to where this thing is. Across, you go exactly the same, which is right on the edge of this one and straight across the tank. What we do here will allow me to make a template so that when you get this thing, you will know exactly why you're putting the template down, so the hole doesn't get drilled in the wrong place. And also, you'll be able to lay the tape out on your tank if you have to, or if you want to really be sure. You can lay this tape out on the tank, and at that time, all you'll have to do is match up the paper you'll get with the holes marked in it, and you should be able to put this thing together fairly easy. Like I said, the only reason this thing is supposed to be foolproof is because there's no fools working on it. Oh, I got an eyebrow out here.
I didn't say anything. Scary. Did I say anything?
Scary. Ray wants to tell you this is scary right now. Okay, I'll need to mark these out a little farther on each one so that unit will show where we're going. We'll put this piece of paper right on here and we'll mark the paper, okay, to the same as the tape is. I'll need to mark this real dark so I can see it. Okay, all the lines are marked out. Now we have the mark for the original one in the center. Now we're going to mark the side one and then lay this back on here so that we know we're marked exact. Okay, go ahead, Holly. Mark that one. This will give you a reference point as far as where you're going to make it.
Okay. You want to set this thing so it's almost straight in the center line, horizontal straight. It is in line. Then shift it up just a little.
Far enough up because there's the original. I can see it.
Yeah, we can shift it up a little more.
Okay, it should go right there. Okay. Okay, you want to bring the camera down tight on that. This is the original and here's the other hole. Now the first thing you want to make sure you do before you start marking this stuff is realize which way the tank is pointing. If you'll go here to your unit on this side, you can tell which way the tank's laying. Lay it with the filler neck up at the one end, and the hole will be down at this angle. Mark this hole, like he showed you, scribe it, then come over and you're slightly up and across. So if I draw the lines this way and this way on these two, the original hole was scribed right exactly here. Now what this will do will allow you to realize where you put it. You have come up and over slightly about, looks like maybe 3/8 of an inch above the line on this one. And it is over
About an inch.
inch and a half.
And this is the bottom of the tank, right?
That's the bottom of the tank. Now what he's going to do first is he's going to, this is a punch set right here and it will set a hole. Let me find this one and get it exact. Here. All right. Now let's see if we can see the other one. Okay, if you take the part that's in here and lay it like so, and what I'm going to put is top of the tank. Now the top of the tank being where you fill it, not the top sticking up this way. You'll simply lay this down, put out your two pieces of tape on there like I showed you to start with. You'll line up these and you will have a hole at that time. You can actually, if you wanted to, if you make sure that this is lined up with the hole that was already marked in the middle of the one that was scribed, you can actually take this and punch through the whole unit at one time and know that it's going to be on there correct. This is a loader punch and it will not punch a hole through the unit, but we will try. Let's see that one right there, and I'll punch right through that one to start with. I believe that's correct. Within a given distance, and what I'm saying by a given distance meaning is that if you were off 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch, this is not going to change how this unit sets in here. It might change this because there is a little bit of play in the frame opening. Okay, now when we take this off, we can take all of this back off. I don't know, you want to drill right through tape and all? Yeah. Okay, we're going to drill through tape and all, so while Holly's setting up one of these drills, we'll wait a minute here, and then when we get that done, we'll go to the next thing. We live?
Go on.
Okay, now, I'm going to drill a small pilot hole just to get this started. However, when you drill the large holes, you've got to use these unibits. If you do not, this is designed for small, thin sheet metal, so you get only one cutting surface, and it's what it's designed for. If you try to use a regular size drill to drill these holes, the full size, I guarantee, well, chances are real good you're going to be buying a new tank. So invest the $50 to $70 you're going to have to get these two unibits.
You can probably rent those from any of the companies that rent tools.
Now what I want to do now is drill a very small pilot hole, just enough to get it started. Hold that, keep that from sliding on me.
Once you get a sharp bit, not like the... Oh, that isn't tight in there.
Yeah, I just realized that now.
Okay, let me do this so that we know we're going to get all...
That helps. It doesn't catch all of them, but it helps. You stick a rag inside here for when you're doing the drilling. It'll help catch some of the shavings, and it also helps if you don't have a watch on your hand. So when you fold the tank back over the rag, spread it out as best as you can in here, and it'll catch some of the shavings, because when you go to clean the tank out when you're done, you have to get all the shavings out, which is a lot of fun. Okay, now what we're going to be doing now is I've drilled the pilot hole, and we're going to be putting the hole in large enough to take the bulkhead fitting. Now, the bulkhead fitting is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So check your unibit and start drilling your holes. Now when you do it, even though I've got this marked where I can see it, you probably can't on the camera, is that I go down to where I'm just about close, and then I start checking to make sure I'm at the right level. So you can go that approach and make sure that you don't overcut this thing.
Well, the unibit's marked inside. It tells you the sizes on it, so you can probably go up to about, what's it saying?
This goes up to 7/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
You don't want to go that far.
Probably go up to, go up to about the 3/4 before you check, 11/16, and then check it. And see if this will go in. If it'll go in, that's as far as you need to go. Okay, go ahead.
Are you getting nervous yet?
Time the bit goes down one more step, you'll hear it drop, you'll hear a punch on it. Okay.
This head on this thing just does not want to stay tight.
We're getting close.
Well, this thing's stripped us. Okay, now where are we at here?
Tilting it to that side, which makes the hole oval. You've got one more to go. That's why it locks up, because every time you tilt it, you get an edge over on that side. Make sure that you keep this bit going exactly straight down into the tank. If you tilt it, every time you go to look and turn, it will lock the bit up and twist the bit in the chuck, regardless of how tight it is.
One more to go?
Should have one more. Spin that as you start it down so that it'll level the hole up perfectly level. Okay, now drill. One more. Try these each time so you know what step you're going down into.
There you go.
Okay, the tape is holding it.
Okay, all we have is exactly what we need. At this time, you can take your tape off, and you've got that hole set up. Plus, there's like a plastic coating on the outside of this tank.
And at this point now, you're going to get a rat tail file and file the burrs off on the top side and the bottom side. Do not stick your finger down in there to see if there's any burrs. Trust me, there are. It'll slice you up real good. So at this point, you take the rat tail file down all the little burrs on the top and on the bottom. Yeah, there's just a little bit.
A little bit. If you can get the drill perfectly straight when it goes in, it will not leave a burr. If you have a tendency to lean the drill as you drill to look at the side you're drilling on, you will have a tendency to make one side sharp, one side flat.
Now, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but you can see this is starting to round on the tank. This is where we're going to take these large washers on the bulkhead fitting, put this thing together and tighten it down. And what it will do is it will flatten this area right in here so that you can put the bulkhead fitting in and it won't leak.
Did you leave the plastic on your tank?
Yes.
You did?
Yep.
Because see, there's some gone, some not. The only reason I thought of that is I
Well,
think
we
we,
can cut it off around
yeah,
here.
we cut it off around that area. And clean your plastic off for a small area around the hole so that if part of it's gone and part of it is not gone, it will not leave a space to leak to start with. Try to get everything as clean as you possibly can. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. I'll have Ray help me and I'll trim this off.
All right. Three flags knife, way to get that off.
Hey, Flaggy,
What do you need there?
where did you put the saw at?
Sawzall, you said me set it up.
Okay. Ray, we're going to trim this off and we're going to, so that it'll be at the lowest point. It can drain as much gas as possible so that when it's trying to fill, there's no loss.
What you doing there, Holly?
Well, you need either a rat tail file or a half round or quarter round file so that you can get it in here and you lay it down flat enough that you can catch the small fine burr on the underside, but you're not deforming the top here.
Over there on the camera.
Doing the outside.
The reason it's like this is this is in the bottom of the tank. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, good way to check to see if you've gotten all the burrs off the top is run your fingernail over to the hole. If there's any burr left, your fingernail's going to catch it and it won't want to go into the hole. So that's taken care of. And then we got the monkey wrench over there, I guess we use.
Do you have a wrench to fit? So if he has an in wrench to fit that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Go for it.
Okay, now stand the tank up, your hole is over here. What you're going to do is take the two large flat washers. These are going to be used to flatten the tank out. Put one over, get your other bulkhead, or your nut to go on the bulkhead fitting, and you're going to have to, I hope you got small forearms. If you got big ones, it's maybe tough. Snake this through. Put the washer over it. And then just get this down to hand tight at that point. Okay, cut.
Now the inside of this you have to hold. You're going to really have a problem because there's a lot of stuff inside of the tank that get in your way. Plus, like Holly said, it's all, I've got small forearms and I can just barely get them down in there far enough to get a hold of everything.
Okay, now, I don't know if you can see this, but I can see it's starting to flatten out sheet metal here.
Keep turning, it'll catch on the side of the tank, Holly.
I just want to make sure this aluminum bar is so easy. I ought to do it.
Okay, now we've got it as flat as we're going to get it, I think.
Just one more time.
Okay. Don't take that all the way off yet. Hang on. Let me get this. Okay. I'll have to turn this around and put it in there. If I can get a hold of it. Tank.
Okay, now if you look at this, you can see how it flattened this area out. Okay, you can see this, you can see that the plastic is a little torn up, but that's okay. What it did was it created a flat area around this hole so that when you put down this
Washers.
the rubber washer, it'll seal around this hole and it'll have a flat surface. Okay.
Clean as much of the plastic insulation that's on the tank off, plus some of the paint. All you have to really make sure that you do is there's a rubber washer inside of here, an O-ring. Where the O-ring is going to contact the tank has to be clean, because that's the only seal this tank gets. Washer on your bulkhead fitting. The bulkhead fitting is then going to go through the tank. Other washer goes on the outside.
And these are the rubber washers instead of the big metal washers we use to flatten it.
Yeah.
Correct.
How to tighten that thing. All right. Hand me that plug over. Anything there are two of these in the kit. One is for each size bulkhead fitting. There also will fit the bottom of the tank itself if you have to take it off. The reason I like for you to use these all the time is because these threads get boogered up very easy. So since we're going to be handling this tank, we will simply put that on there so that nothing gets messed up. If you'll use them, you won't have trouble with anything because no threads will be boogered on you. And keep these in your bike because they're very handy if you should, on the road, have to take the tank off for any reason. You can plug the tank off, take it off, with gas still in it and not lose any of the gas anywhere. Okay, Holly.
Okay, now we're going to install the breather line that comes from the rear tank up to this tank, which you have to have. This little clip right here is your gas cap overflow from the little pan that sits up in here. You want to come to the side of that and come down about an inch or so, enough to get away from the round, the curvature here. Come down, and this is where we're going to be drilling the hole for the breather line. And this is also where you're going to use the smaller of the two unibits. Okay. When you install the vent line, you want to come down from the top of the tank about an inch, anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half. Anywhere in that area will be fine, and about an inch over. So we're going to go over an inch, and come down about an inch and a quarter. Make myself a little mark here. And since you're going to drill a hole, you don't have to worry about scratching. Okay, again we'll do a punch. Oh yeah, a punch. A pre-drill. Pre-drill a hole. Got it?
Got it.
That's a really sharp bit, isn't it?
Yeah, if you pick a sharp bit, it'll drill through there. This is made for a home video so that you'll understand how to do this. If I gave you a sharp bit, it wouldn't be nothing they understood.
I'm not sure the logic in that last statement, but we'll go with it.
Well, and it is not very sharp. These tanks are not thick enough with the flatness of the area on the bottom to stop them from twisting the metal. They will twist it and they will tear the metal. Up here on the top, the curve itself makes the tank a lot more stable and a lot stiffer.
This is just slightly over 3/8 of an inch diameter hole, and your unibit is marked, so we want to go to the 3/8 and then give it a test. We have reached nirvana. Okay. Take your file and take off the burrs, although it is not as critical as the bottom hole getting the burrs off.
You need to take a piece of wire and put a heavy knot on one end of it. This is so that it will not go all the way through the bulkhead fitting when you go to feed it through to tighten it down. Feed it through the small end of the bulkhead fitting with coming through the long end with a knot on the small end of it.
That way it can't pull out.
Okay, give me those two washers and a nut over there.
With the flattened washers on
Yeah.
top? No.
I did this backwards. Excuse me.
He's got to feed it through the tank first with the knot on it. And we're going to try to pick it up inside the tank out here. Okay,
Wait a minute, what, you know, where are the dikes? Or just snip that off?
the knot. Feed it through the long end, the knot goes on the short end of the unit.
Once again, this is not rocket science.
Yeah, right.
Okay, make sure that the washer is on there before you do this, because you'll be starting yourself in a lot of trouble. Feeds through the hole very easily. The washer goes on your piece of line first, fit it down. Once it's all the way down against the tank,
And you use the wire to keep the bulkhead fitting up tight on the inside.
didn't you have to flatten this?
No.
That's all right.
Okay, it's spinning. Isn't that slick?
Okay.
Okay,
Now, I think what we'll do here, I put this in before we washed it, so what I'm gonna do is, let me have it, Marty, thanks for taking this off. We're gonna wash out this tank to make sure there's no fittings in it, no filings anywhere in the tank. Now, all filings should be in the very bottom of the tank, so you don't have to wash it out before. You could, if you wanted to, wash it out before you put the upper fitting in, but since all the shavings went into the bottom of the tank, we're not really gonna worry about that, because they are down here. The rag picked up quite a few of them. This will take the rest of them up. Okay, what are you flushing this out with?
Oh, we used gas before.
Get a little bit of gas out of that one over there and a couple of rags, and let's pile some rags down, flush it out, and we'll put this back on and we'll leak test this thing. Okay.
You can use a low grade of kerosene for flushing the tank.
Yeah, don't use gasoline to flush the tank with. You blow yourself up because you use gasoline. You did it because after you were told not to. Although this is a gas tank and that's what it holds. You can look in the bottom periodically with it and see how much shavings have come down. Hold your hand over the hole so that nothing comes out the hole. What'd you do with that magnet, Ray?
It's over here.
Everything will collect in the very bottom of the tank. Take a magnet in your hand, reach inside and pick as much of this up as you can, because you're not going to flush it out simply by having it run out the hole, but you will pick a lot of it up if you just run a magnet all over the inside. Quite a bit of stuff still on there, although I've already got some out. Clean your magnet off and go do this a couple of times.
You know, your peel thing, do you know the confusion there? That you threw out?
mine, because mine's up underneath there. I like what Jim did with his.
That seems to be all of it. The rest of it will be picked up before it gets there, seeing as the weight of it is more than of anything else. And I can look straight down into the gas tank and see that the only thing I have in there right now is just from paint. So no more filings in it at all. So now we'll put the thing back together and we'll test it for a leak before we put it in the bike. Yeah, where did the, okay, you need to put the plug that was supplied with it on the bottom one, and let me have the small plug for the top one also. There's also one supplied for the top that's just like it. Put that on the return line for your vent, and you're ready to test the tank. Okay, you can just put a small amount of gas in this tank. And we're going to test it because that's what the tank's held is gasoline. We'd like to make sure that it won't leak. That should be enough. Okay, we're going to set this for a little while and make sure that in two different positions that it won't leak. One is straight up, the other one is for the other side on the top, because it will get gassing up eventually to where the little sucker will leak. You can look down inside the tank itself and make sure that you put enough gas in there to fully cover the bulkhead fitting. Let's have a little more gas for it. We don't have quite enough to cover the bulkhead fitting. Open up. Okay. Take this stuff off of this chair and we'll set it in between two chairs so we can see if there's any leak whatsoever. We'll leave this set for a while and make sure the bottom's not leaking, and after that we'll turn it on the side, put a gas cap on it, and check to make sure the top one's not leaking. If we have no leaks or any wetness anywhere, we're ready to install the tank back in. Right now is I'm going to fix this so we can drop and lower the swing arm. All you need to do that is take the one of the shock. The reason you're going to do this is because it's going to make a lot easier installation if you can move the swing arm up and down versus trying to fight that braided steel line to get it in there. And I put a jack underneath the swing arm so that we can maneuver it in the position that we want. Although it's not that heavy once this bolt's taken out, you can move the swing arm by hand. But if you have some sort of a portable jack, preferably one that jacks up and down with an arm rather than this being a scissors jack that we use to hold motors in place, it's a lot easier. Sucker.
what we want now.
Just, hey Ray, see if you can find a small chunk of 2x4. Would help a lot. It'll save us, because this is light enough you can lift this thing up easy. I'm just going to get a piece of 2x4 to put in here, so well, there should be a small piece of 2x4 cut off laying over there, but those will do, I guess.
Here's the 2x4.
Yeah, there you are. Now what we're doing here is setting this up so that you can lift it and lower it very easily without jacking it up high. You can lift it that high with no problem, just with one hand. It's a very light unit. Okay. Why don't you,
Knife for reinforcing, and he drilled holes through those. What we did was we take the front screw bracket that holds the bracing here for the battery. So you have to take the battery out, take this screw out. You'll have a screw with a washer. This will go down through the bottom. Then you're going to hook this line up to it, which your braided line will come through, and you'll have a screw and a lock washer to screw up underneath, and that will hold the line in place up in front to keep it from rattling around. Okay, so at this point, we take the battery off.
Always want to disconnect the negative cable first.
You bet. That way you don't get unnecessary arcs and welding of connectors.
Body parts to bikes.
Yeah. It's great fun, it is.
I touched one of those batteries one time when I had a watch on with one of those Spidell units, the Twist-A-Flex units on it,
Yeah.
and grounded the Twist-A-Flex to the frame and grounded against the hot post on the battery and literally blew the watch to smithereens, along with burning the hell out of my wrist.
Okay, now, the front bolt is the one that you want to take out. Now the hole for this bolt goes all the way through the housing below. What we're going to do is give you a screw that's going to go all the way through and extend out far enough to put this connector on the bottom.
Show them the length of that screw versus the other one.
Okay. This is a standard screw we just took out. This is what we're going to be giving you, so you can tell the difference in the length.
We'll plug in direct. About 4.5 hours. And we're an hour into it right now, hour and a half at the max. And we're almost ready to put the tank back in and start running lines and stuff. So even if you don't so many parts, if we understand.
And with the washer, you just tighten it down about the same snugness as you had the other one, keeping in mind that this is aluminum that you're screwing into, so it doesn't have a whole lot of strength to it, so you just tighten down to where it's good and snug. And then reinstall their battery, because the bolt will be hanging down below, and that'll be another process that we'll get to shortly.
If you want to look underneath the tank, you can check around the edge of the bulkhead fitting, and this one is totally dry, so we know as far as any leaks go, this side is all right, and we've left it here quite a while. Now we're going to turn the tank on edge so we can check the fitting in the top, and we'll leave it that way for a while. we'll leave it like this for a while to make sure there's no leakage on the top one. If there's no leakage on the top one, we can install the tank back in the bike again. So we'll let it set for a little bit.
Filming.
Okay, right now what we're gonna do is, the one that has the 2 holes in it goes on the left side of the bike, and it goes between the muffler and the bracket that hangs it. That's where you need the bolt and the washer you put together earlier. Run these through the system. Once you get this arm lined up, everything should be all right. Okay. This needs a nylock on it, which came on the unit. Go ahead and stick the other side in too while you're at it, Holly. Right now, we won't tighten these down, but this is what's going to hold the complete unit in for it.
Flip it over.
Okay. Let's get a 1/2 inch socket and ratchet. Use the ratchet. We're just barely tightening these right now so that when you hold it up, it doesn't quite fall. Yet it's not so tight you can't move it. That'll allow us to move things up and down as we go to put the tank and the rest of the stuff in. Whoa. Okay, just to where it barely gets tight. That way when you do this, you'll be able to set these at the angle you want or the height you want to put everything in. And we're still checking on the tank over there for leakage. At that time, we'll start putting the stuff through. Did you want to, I guess we could take this main line back apart and just use this here, the bars where the valve.
There, never mind.
I've taken the line apart that I gave you. All you take off is just simply from the valve back. The reason for this is there's no sense trying to fight feeding all of this back up through there to hook on the tank. You want the shortest piece you can get, which is the easiest one to maneuver through there. So as soon as the tank's ready, we'll start dropping stuff in. What do you think, Holly? It doesn't look like it's gonna be. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get the gas out of the tank and start getting the tank into the bike.
Okay, now, you've gotten the tank, you've gotten all the bulkheads fittings on, you've cleaned everything out, you're all ready now to put this thing back on the bike. Now, what you gotta do is put the heat shield back on. As you can see, we've got an extra hole, so you're gonna have to cut out the heat shield, and depending on how anal you are, depends on what kind of hole you cut. You can cut it out big or do whatever you want, but you still have to cut this out to fit over the bulkhead fitting. So that's what we're gonna do next.
Dull knife.
How precise do you want this?
Hey, it's gotta be right on.
It's gotta be anal?
100%.
You want it sharp.
Isn't it? Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's the 3 flag.
Dude,
The sharp.
That was Bill's.
Scissors.
If you use your wife's scissors, I guarantee you she's going to cuss at you later. And these are my upholstery scissors, so they're very sharp.
the next thing we'll do is build a seat. Voila.
Okay, that's about what you're going to need in order to get this back on here, fit up. It doesn't matter if it covers part of the washer or not. Okay.
Put through there.
We found the little clip that the factory didn't use.
Something. Oh, yeah, 3 flags.
3 flags,
No,
nine.
no, 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 I'm gonna cut the plastic.
All right.
Here's the screwdriver.
How many minutes take to bend up a tab?
Is it a hardware or software problem?
OE operator error. Okay, put the two tabs back in, put the flap in, bend this over. We're ready to rock. I know you want your 3 flag tab.
All right.
Let's.
1996, no else.
Here, it's going to go down through the hole, right under the swing arm. And you just thread it off to the side and leave yourself enough room up here so that you can hook the tank to it. Now when you hook the tank to it, just thread this on so that you have enough threads to hold it on here, but the elbow is still flexible. Okay, you don't want to tighten it down so it's not flexible. That way you can drop the tank down in, and then we'll start playing with the swing arm so that the elbow will miss everything in here and we can drop the tank in. And then you can see how to tighten it from there.
Okay, bring it over here and let's show him where this goes so that they don't have to fight it all. On the back side, when he dropped it through, I went on underneath the swing arm all the way and to the outside of the swing arm back here so that once you start moving it, you don't have to try to kink that hose to get it over. And that's the routing the hose is going to take once we're done. So already we are down underneath the swing arm to the outside of the swing arm and coming this way. Now we'll try to put the tank in full. Okay.
1 second.
What's it doing?
I'm just getting a picture of your routing.
Swing.
Now we're not quite tight on there, so as he swings the tank around, make sure everything in front of the tank doesn't get pushed down with it. As he goes down in there, simply feed this through. You will find out why. All right, tip it at an angle. Do we need to raise the swing arm anymore?
I'll pull the hose a little bit.
Okay, we're coming.
Okay, let's see what we're doing here.
Okay,
Wait a minute, something's wrong.
we've got something right here in our way. Yeah. We're getting the hose turned.
Yeah, it's turned the wrong way.
Well, somewhere or another, lift it up or whatever, I've got to get it turned to the proper direction.
Good enough?
No, turn it to my side before you start. There we go. Is that to my side?
Yep.
Okay, now just feed it down in there. Okay, right in. Perfect moon. She's not touching anything, she does it on
Oh, it's the battery. Where the hell is the battery? Oh, I'm sorry. Everything seems to be clear down there, huh?
Yeah, you just gotta go forward here until it misses the battery and set it down.
Okay, wait a minute.
Give me a 10mm wrench. 10mm right underneath you. There's a socket.
You got to listen to the battery.
No, there's a socket. Where they all were.
Is there a flashlight?
Where is the tie down to keep your battery out of the way.
Oh, I see. We're up against the swing arm.
Swing arm needs to go down.
You can see it from this side, Jim.
Okay, lower the swing arm. You can just unscrew this by hand. Yeah. And the reason you're doing this is you can get your hand up inside the hole to tighten down the hose you have on. Okay, Holly, I think we can tighten it down from there.
Yeah, this is where you need the exact wrench size. Damn flap.
Yeah, you might want to glue the flap on when you go to do it. Let's find out what size this is, and we'll get the right size for it.
Tomorrow I will pay for this. My knees are going to be like, they'll be hot all day.
1 inch, push a 1 inch.
Oh, that's too big.
No, I don't think so. The 1 inch is the bolt.
And it's very hard for you to see, so since it's hard for me to see, I know it's hard for you to see. All right.
Are we reaching about it?
I think so. Okay, give me the bolt that holds the shock up. Holds the shock on. It's a heavy bolt, barrel type. Oh, right here it is. Yeah, that's the one we need. When you take your bolt out that holds the shock in place, clean the bolt up and grease it a little bit, because this one has been turned in the rubber inside the shock bushing. Was really hard to get out. Stop it.
Thank you.
You guys do great work.
Okay. I'll hold this and lift it up to where I'm jack up. Let's put the 2x in there. You keep going, you'll have it high enough to not need a 2x, I guess.
Well, it was already too hard.
Okay.
You think they'd taper the head of this thing? You should go in a little further when it catches.
Yeah, I know, it hasn't gone through the rubber yet. Hang on, Ray.
Got a thing with it.
Take it down. I think it's the right height right now. Should go right in there.
When I was doing mine, I had it in and then out, in and out, no problem. Then the last time I put it back in, I was done. I spent like 20 minutes.
Well, that isn't the problem with this one. I just put some grease on it, and evidently that isn't even going to help this thing.
The alignment is real tight.
So why don't we get some WD and spray it inside of the shock until we get this thing to where it'll slide in and out easily. And partially it's because the shock. Enough grease on there. See, it goes right through it. That isn't the problem. The problem is the damn shock. See, the shock's twisted.
Straighten it.
Oh, we can't finish.
Why is that?
Pinch on.
No.
There.
Must be good. Yeah, when you do this, if you have trouble with the pin lining up that holds through the shock, be sure and let your shock all the way down, because you will notice if you just slip the pin through the shock itself that it is not straight through and you're trying to fight it. We just finally decided to let the shock all the way down, and we will readjust the shock after we have this all together to suit the customer. So you're still a customer because we're going to charge you for this. Also, I beveled the very corner of this pin so that it will start in the shock easier, because of the placement of this thing is so tight that it's really hard to get started. It will not change any function except the fact that you can put it in and out very easily. All I want you to go ahead and start putting the tank and that stuff and the pumps in. And then you can get that while I'm just putting this in back here, and then we'll go to the back end and start hooking everything up correctly. From this point on, if you have had taken your bike apart, you will know about where everything goes. The only difference being that we're going to show you how to hook the tank parts up. The rest of the bike can be put back together at any time you want, except for the license plate light, which I'll show you where to hook up and explain to you why it's hooked in there.
Was there a trick to putting that thing back in?
Huh?
Was there a trick to putting this back in?
Is there a hose that you need to connect or anything?
Should I have been filming this thing?
You need to hook up the side hose in there if you
Yeah,
have
I did.
already. Yeah.
Just that I didn't,
Make sure once you have your hose in, that you reach up through the small hole and make sure that the back of the bulkhead fitting or the hose connector is not touching the swing arm. The swing arm does not go up or down very far, but if you have it turned too far this way, it will. If it's turned too far that way, simply loosen the hose where you put it on, push the elbow around to where it's more to the side, tighten it down, and check again with your fingers and make sure there's plenty of space up underneath here to where it comes to the side so it won't touch anything. I think what we could do next, probably, large one connector you're going to find goes around the hose, and this is where you've already put the bolt, taken the bolt out of the battery, tie down, and putting it back in. I'm going to put it on there at this time with the nut and washer that goes with it. This will hold this to one side and keep it from moving around.
I think I need a 10mm wrench there. Hold this right. don't know.
And that is connecting to the screw with the battery, right?
Yeah, that's the front battery bolt.
No, I don't need that. I can't even get the bolt on yet. The shoulder isn't working very good this day. It doesn't want to twist right. I got a little trick going.
There it goes.
There's the washer.
Reach it from here if you want.
I can reach it, I just can't. Get, I'll tell you what, get a fluorescent, please. It's plugged in right there, so it has to be right here.
The barrel.
Okay, now that camera, the button on the top front, see there's two of them?
Mm-hmm.
That's telephoto, so you don't have to get way in there, you can just telephoto in on it.
Yes, that's,
Okay, maybe at this time you can see where this is the one I'm talking about right here. Can you telephoto in on it?
I got it.
Okay, this one right here is what holds it down. Keeps this away from your swing arm. Once you have it on, push it to the side such to where it holds down like so, and you're now over to here. The line down inside can be moved, yet it's not in your way. All right. Now that the tank is in place, I'm going to put the battery tie down back on. I only took the top nut off so I could just slide the battery just a little bit to the side and then tighten it back down. The battery's not in the way, nothing up here is in the way. You want to grease that inside.
No, wait, Ray, we still have
I'm just
to,
looking, I'm looking to see if that's going to be in the way.
yeah, it's going to be in the way. No,
Maybe not,
very close.
maybe not. Tell me you're going to screw the screws.
It would be nice if it wasn't.
And drop right down to it and in way.
Well, we can just drill a hole. Right through that PIA case, you know,
Take that tea case, throw it in the trash can, get rid of those Pias.
Give me a couple of the pipe wrenches, not pipe wrenches, the
monkey wrench.
monkey wrenches. Yeah, here's one right there. Get all this stuff tightened in place.
There's the other one. I had two out here.
And at this time, I think what I'm gonna do is
Roll away?
split and go do what they call, finish doing the honeydew thing today.
You dog, you.
I'm supposed to be mowing weeds today.
Doing a
I
good
don't
job,
think I have
too.
to do that. I got something like a barbecue or like a pull or a swim or screw or something, I don't know.
That's a nice honeydew.
Oh, you only got that tape. Whoops.
You're talking about putting screws in your
Putting
cabinets,
screws
right?
in the cabinet, right,
Putting-
right,
yeah,
right.
that's what I thought.
Something very important.
We're going the wrong direction.
Fixing the cabinets in the kitchen. Yes, that's,
Mhm.
One more, we slipped off of this. Hold on, let me get where I can do it.
We did it in the kitchen once too, and that was fun.
Okay. So here's our, let's turn all this the way we want it. This goes like this, this goes up like this.
Yeah.
And at this time, we need to turn this around. What I'm doing right now is getting all of this back here lined up so that he'll have no problem with it. The arm on the valve can be taken off with one screw. Simply pull straight back off and put on the other way around. If I haven't already done this, I would, hopefully you will do it yourself because it will make it a lot easier to get at the little arm on the valve. So when you go to use this unit, it will be sticking straight down off the bike when it's turned off. The reason for this is if it's sticking up, you won't be able to get your fingers on it and turn the valve on and off. Okay. This way, this is off on the valve, and this is in a running mode to let the fluid go all the way through it. It should be like this. The way it was originally was up on top. Make sure you have tightened the valve and all the fittings together. They rotate. You can turn this any way you want it after you've done it simply by holding the line and turning it, and it will turn to different directions because these are rotating units. Okay. Now it's connectors to hold the line down to the bracket. Ray, see if you can find a pair of black, black.
It's supposed to hang.
I'm just trying to get them on there where they'll fit. See if you can find a black pair of channel locks, and we'll squeeze these down so that when I put them on, you can get the darn screw through it. Yeah. Or that pair of needle nose over there. Where are they at? Here they are.
Here's the black
There's the black handle and the green handle.
What I'm doing right now is just closing these up enough to where I can get the screw through everything. These hang from the bottom, so when you have the two on, they will look exactly like, you can get around here to where they can see them. So they will be like so when you go to put them on. Now, the way they hook is one side of each one. They don't go on the same side. One goes on each side. Otherwise, put your little, leave them slightly open so you can run the bolt and use the arm for a spacer on these. There are nylocks with these. Once you get them tight, they'll hold because there is no vibration to this, or very little. See if you give me a 10mm wrench, Ollie. I believe those are 10s. Right here. I think that's a 10. It doesn't feel like it though. Guess it is. Okay, what do you say, let's hang the tank right now. The two top hats that came in there, one goes through each of the top in the tank to hold it in. There are two washers and two green 10mm that'll go in here. These bolt directly into the same hole that you took the original mounting screws out of. One on each side. I had a 10 out here. This tank was designed to be a floating tank and not so rigid that it will tear everything out of your bike. So it will slide side to side a small amount, but should not hurt anything. Okay, Holly. These are the units that hold the bottom of the tank down. I'll go through the bottom, one on each side. Put the arm on the inside of the tank. You will notice that the back end of the arm is notched. If you put that in the wrong place, you have the arm reversed. This end of the arm is notched. The other end is not. What size is that, Holly? 12?
Yeah.
I have a 12 right down here. Be sure and place the lock washer on the inside, not the outside. At this time, you can force the hose back towards the front of the bike and install the hose onto the tank. If you can screw better than I can, it'll go faster than this.
You're still.
Yeah, I know. It's a little better to get on there.
It's crooked still. It's crooked. Let's catch from this angle. It's crooked. Let Holly get it. It's at a better angle, Jim.
Oh, that's about it. Maybe if we loosen this a little bit, slide it back into the collar.
No, it's fine the way it is. Because it won't come out and it will not touch the saddlebag. Remember that when you tighten all this stuff down, that this is aluminum. If you get a wild hair and you know what, and start really cranking on this stuff, you can strip this easy. Okay. Now when the saddlebag's on, everything's accessible. That's off. That's
Should only
on.
spin 90 degrees.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why it's spinning more than that. It should stop right there.
I
It
think your
does.
screw's loose.
Yeah, it's still a little bit loose. Or it feels that way.
Yeah, I can see it spinning.
Okay, that position has turned your gas off. When you fill the tanks, reach down and turn it to this direction. Fill this tank and the other tank and simply reach up and turn it long ways in line, which will let the gas flow through. If you forget to turn this off when you go to fill it, and you fill the front tank first and then open the back one, you gotta remember that the gas is running through the line. When you open this, gas might come out the back. Always close this off, then you can fill either tank you want. If you forget to turn it back into the run position, the only thing that will happen is when you think you are out of gas, you still have approximately 3.5 gallons of gas left. So if you're driving down the road and your gas is dropping all of a sudden, more than likely you forgot to turn the gas on at the station. You turned it off, but you didn't turn it on. Which is kind of nice when you're going down the road and think you're broke and find out you got a pocket full of change left. Okay. Now we can insert the
Top,
air.
yeah, top, well, we gotta do the top one, put this on, and then we can figure out where we're gonna put the PA brackets.
Okay, why don't you put all the bolts in to hold the tank down, and then we'll show them how to route that. You understand this real well, right? Okay, when you stop at a service station, you simply do this. If you do not, and you fill that whole tank first, when you open this one, if this one wasn't full, it would be okay, but if this one was half full and it starts raining back there, you go to talk and pop this open, it's gonna say, hey, I've got gas, now what the hell?
The way to keep from avoiding, just always remember, fill that one first.
Now see how everything's kept over to the sides, and there's no way to get anything back in there. It's all tied in here, here, here. This is not moving anywhere. Now he used to drill a hole, 2 holes through here, and put a tie wrap right here. And I said, you know, a tie wrap's not going to get it, so that's why we have taken out the bracket, the bolt for the battery bracket, and put a longer one in, and put a clamp in there to where it will hold just like these will, and they are out of the way. Nothing in here moves whatsoever anyway, with the exception of the tire slightly up and down. All of this has been pulled all to one side, so there's no way it can get there.
If I have to do the rear tire?
If you have to do the rear tire, if the shop tells you they cannot do the rear tire, one way of them doing the rear tire is for them to take the shock loose, let the frame drop it down a little bit, take the tire out, put the tire back in, put the shock back on. That's why I beveled that little unit for you, so it'll be easier to get in and out.
And
If you have to, okay.
I got it.
If you are to take the tank off here, and you have, no, that's why you were told to keep these. Also, I will send you a small plug fitting and explain where it goes. If you have to take the tank off for any reason whatsoever, turn the valve off, all the way off, even if there's gas in the tank. Turn the valve off, take the bottom and the top connectors off, and that will loosen the tank. Take the top hose off over here, right over here where the vent is. Take this one off over here, and I will send a plug with you to plug this hole. Simply plug this hole, rotate rotate the tank to this side and stand it up. Take this hose off and put this on there. At this time, the tank is completely sealed off again. So you carry this one and the one plug I am going to send you so that you can plug off that unit and this unit without a problem. There is nothing you will need to do. You will get, these 2 caps will actually do it once we get it done. This unit right here goes in this side. Once we get it in, you can simply use this cap to close this one off first. Take the vent off over on this side and plug it off. Turn it on its side with this side down, and you can take this off containing all the gas, put this plug on the tank, and you can set the tank at one side full of gas without a problem, because this will not leak regardless of which direction you turn the tank. At that time, you can take your tire out, do any repairs you have to, simply put this hose back on first, put it back up in here, put this hose on, put it back up in here, then take the plug off over there and reconnect the breather line to the tank for the vent. You do not have to empty this tank to take it off. That's why these are given with the unit, so that you can do it all on your own. Okay. Now let's feed this one in. Oh, we had a hell of a time. Remember these bastards?
I stripped mine out.
Yeah, that's why I bought this type.
Oh, I had great fun with
You
that.
see these?
Yeah, I was wondering what that was for. That's a great idea.
Yep, that's because I didn't believe him on the way it was. The original, it would not swivel like this. So the one I put in here will swivel in any direction. If you have to take it out for some reason, simply hold this, turn this, and you can take it out and it will not hit your tail light. Very important that you don't tear anything up when you're working on one of the bikes, because it's a pain to have to replace stuff.
Okay, well, so.
I told you, we really thought this mess out. It would be a little cheaper if I did it the other way, and probably I could save everybody maybe
Getting short on tape.
$20, $30. There's another roll of tape. Whoa. Okay. Now, this one is a little taller though, see what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably why he didn't do it, but since we're using elbows and elbows, we should be all right with it. And we can turn it any direction we want. If you want to stop, we'll reload that thing. This line feeds around the front of the tank, and it has a 45 already installed on it. You'll notice that. The reason it doesn't have the other end installed on it is because you're going to need to feed this along a path which the 45 would not allow you to do it.
90.
90?
Yeah, it's a 90 on here.
Well, there's two of them, one on each end. 45 and 45 makes 90. $1.50?
Okay.
All right. Now, if you come on this side, you'll see that we're going to run this, how we're going to try to feed this down through here. We need to feed this down behind and then up and over this unit.
I'm trying to remember, is this...
Well, we can go the other way. It'd be a lot better for them if you can feed it through there. Where the hell is that hole in the back? Right through that hole right there. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a very small hole back in there you have to feed through. And you don't get much room at all. That's it. Okay, we can feed this on either way. You can feed it on this way or the other. Or we can take it out this side and feed it on here. It doesn't matter. Okay, now we're going to fit the other end. Fun. You will notice that on yours, there's nothing on one end. To feed it through the small holes I just put it through with the 45 on there would be almost a miracle. But now I'm going to put the other 45 on, 90 on, and if you believe this ain't fun, you'll understand why it costs so much to put the other ones on. Nothing to this. Okay, feed this as far out as you can.
Where are the ties?
Huh? A bunch of them in that box right below that tank. Hang on till I can shut that. This is where the fun really begins. There's a small piece of black hole.
The gas tank in the back and runs up to the front. Now this bike already has the line installed. Now on this line you'll notice that one of the leads is not completely screwed in. In the tape you're going to see these collars being installed. We've decided that we're going to send this to you with the brackets already mounted on here because these collars are a real pain, to say the least, to get onto these lines. So one of them will be slightly backed out. This is the one you want to unscrew the lead, leave the collar where it is, take the collar, and right here on the bottom of the bike.
I figured that out. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, up under here you'll see a little slot where you can feed just the red collar through. Feed it up through, and it goes along down the side.
When we started here,
Okay, you'll see the line, you'll feed it up through here. You'll find out pretty quick, there's pretty much only one way you can get it up through here. Bring it on the opposite side of this post here, up underneath the frame, through here, underneath the cross member. Feed it down along over the top of the tank here, and then there's a little wire that you can feed it right between, and then it goes up and in front of the tank.
All this is shown in the video except the fact that we decided after fighting these fittings on the end of this hose for a while that if you had to do that, you'd probably have a nervous breakdown, and I didn't have enough Advil to send you for your fingers. So I decided I'm going to put all these together before they go out. You can see very simply that one of them is slightly out and one is very tight. Take this one, remove the whole fitting out of the line, that way you can feed this through. At that time, this will go right back together and finish, tighten it all the way down.
And when you take this off, be sure and use wrenches and do not.
it is like a file. It just literally cuts through everything it gets its little stinking hands on, and you don't want it flapping around. So I'm going to also tie wrap it to the front bar right in front of the tank. I'm going to put a tie wrap here to hold it in place. Anywhere you can tie wrap it will do fine, just as long as you stop it from moving around. If it moves, like I said, it will, as I'm sure you know, it's actually a file. It cuts stuff. Okay, that ought to hold it in place enough to where it's not going to move. I will tighten all of these down. Back one. These don't have to be really tight. Like I told you before, this is all aluminum, so the odds of you stuffing it if you're going to get horsey with it are pretty good in your favor of stripping. Cut off all this extra tie wraps that we put on here. Okay. Now I think we're going to have to try putting on the license plate and then the wire fit and we'll pop down. You'll notice this will swivel, so there's less odds of you breaking it if you have to take it off or move it. You want your light on the top or the bottom? It really doesn't make a difference. It'll go either way.
Put it on the bottom.
It's so long and it fits inside of this frame. There's a groove. The top then goes through the hole in the tank. Extend this line before you ever start, rather than waiting until a later date and figuring like, I need more line, because you darn sure do. Okay. The black wire you got is what you're going to extend it with, and this will go up, and I'll show you where it hooks to after I get it all put on. That wiring connector over there. We've checked and all the connectors that I'm sending will either fit through where they're supposed to, so that you won't have to fight getting it in and out. Simply slide this through the tank. Let that unit sit there. And you're going to have to ground the light on the tank so that the light will work, otherwise the tank will be no good whatsoever. Some parts that I filmed earlier said you will probably get a few more pieces than was in the original picture, and you will notice that this is one of them. Goes on the end of a wire, or I'll make the wire up probably before I send it to you. This wire goes through, up, and is a ground wire for the light only. This time, feed it through the line where the other wire went through. You'll have two lines through that hole. This will ground on the license plate bracket right here. So all of this will ground together. Your license plate light. Your license plate, put it all on at once. Let's set this up here to get this started back through.
So,
You want to put it on there? It doesn't matter, it just tells me how tough you are.
I gotta be tough.
We will find out how tough his butt is now, because now he can go a little ways before he has to gas up and claim that he wouldn't have stopped except it was when he needed gas, right? Yeah, I heard that one before. Yeah, I can let gas on the run, I don't have to worry about it. I just noticed something. It seems all license plates are not equal. And evidently they aren't in every state. You might have to clean out the holes where your license plate goes just a little bit. They are not really, they should. I thought all license plates were exactly the same, but for whatever reason, they are not quite the same. You might have to clear out the top two of the slots that go through your license plate, because they might not be exactly the same. These plates are from New Mexico, and they're slightly different than California plates, although I would think they would fit because all the license plate brackets I buy for Harley or anybody else, no matter what state they're from, they're usually all the same. And I noticed that these are not. So we will go away for a few minutes and clean up his license plate. Grounds all the rest of these. It's all you're grounding. You're not grounding the tank. Well, I haven't had a problem with the tank needing to be grounded, so I wouldn't think you need to. touch anything. All of them are like that. I guess I could move over the tube that the wire runs through in manufacturing, or I can change, possibly change just a little bit the way it runs, but since it doesn't get touched or snagged or pulled or anything, there should be no problem whatsoever. The bikes we've got 3 bikes with this system on it, and probably between the 3 bikes we're pushing close to 42,000 miles since we put it on the 3 bikes, and we haven't had a problem. So I wouldn't think that seeing we haven't had a problem that you'd have to do anything whatsoever. And this crap is tight, so I mean, you can tell it's tight. You can hear us popping down as we're going on tight. All right. Now what we're going to do is feed the wiring up right through where you fed the hose up into here. The only difference being that you want to come over here and show them where I'm putting this wire. I've run through the wire through the hole in the side of the frame.
We got a problem. We're on the wrong side of the bracket for the saddlebags.
Oh, okay. Hang on, let me run this back down. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Let me understand. Feed it on the inside of the saddle bag bracket, so it's in next to the wheel. Bring it up through the hole, and you can see the hole. No problem to seeing where I'm bringing it up through. Hole is right directly underneath the mount for the frame. At that time, so that you stay away from the steel braided, you run it out underneath and back down through this. Lay it over here. This one right here is the ground. The blue is the ground wire that I sent. Okay. The blue one will simply be hooked to this bolt right here. That's grounding it to the frame. This one we're going to hook to the fuel pump line right here on this plug-in. That way when you turn the key on, your light will come on. When you turn the key off, your light will go off. Also, we'll show you a little later that when you first turn the bike on, the tail light will go on for a second and then it will shut off, because that's the same way your fuel pump does. If the light in the back either comes on and stays on, that would mean that the fuel pump is not pumping, or you're empty, or something you have a problem with. If the light will not come on whatsoever in the back, it means that one of your lean indicators is trying to do a shut-off on the gas. Now that means that once you start the bike, if the bike runs, it's not a problem. It's just saying that you have a problem in the shut-off system for the lean indicators to the shut-off to this pump, which will give you an extra indicator back here at the time, because I wondered for a while why they would ever want to hook it where they did, until I got to checking a few things and figured out, well, that isn't a bad idea. So we'll run this across the top, down the side, and we'll feed it underneath the frame right here and back out. And that way we're not going to catch anything. And then we'll take some tie wraps and we'll tie wrap all this in place. And I've tried to leave it so there's some extra line, so if later on you cut a line or you do something wrong with it, then you'll have extra line, extra wire to cut and replace and work on. Okay, you shut that off a minute. And you notice I shortened the wire up a little bit that went down underneath here, and the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to put a quick connector in it so that if he needs to take the gas tank completely off, he doesn't have to try to pull a bunch of stuff or disconnect this part ever again. He can disconnect it right in the middle of the bike. That's the bullet connector that I showed you earlier. the rest of the bullet connector go? We got it laying right here. Okay, shut that off for a second. Now, I'll take the wire I cut in half, because this is going to connect it to it. We'll put the other end of the bullet connector on here. This way, when you go to take the, if you ever take the tank out, change tires or anything, do not pull the wiring out of the tank. Simply disconnect these two and take it out through the back, still connected to the tank. That way you don't have to redo your license plate, all the other stuff on here. We'll feed this back down through and rehook it and set it up to work on the wiring.
Am I gonna have to have one of those connectors on the ground there, or how's that gonna work?
No, it's going to go right here. I'll have to take one bolt out. Take this one up and tie her up on the bullet connector. That sounds sensible. We'll hold it right in place. And you can just grab a hold of it and take it out of here if you have to. Odds are you'll never will, but if you ever do and get anxious, you want to do something, then you can just say, okay, this is simple. I just take this in half and that's where I go. There'd be a hole here somewhere. Oh, you'd think they'd put a hole there, wouldn't you? Okay, I'm tight right here. These hoses. That way it doesn't get moved around or lost with all this other shit. Tie wrap the bullet connector right there so that if you have to take it out or something, it's easily taken out and put back in without losing a bullet connector or having wires sticking out all over the place. This is about how much wire you're going to need to connect into this unit. And a couple of ways of connecting in. I do not like Scotch locks, so I'm going to connect directly into his wiring. You can even go different than that. If you really wanted to, you could take the wire out of this unit that plugs in right here, and you could actually take it and solder it right into the connector if you really wanted to go that route. I am not going to go that route because I never know what's happening, so I'm going to take the covering, a little bit of the covering off, and get the wire I want that's hot, and then go from there. And all this wire does is it feeds the fuel pump. It starts at fuel pump and runs. You have one wire in there, you're going to hook right directly to that wire. Used to be a long day, don't it? All I'm doing is pulling some cover off of this so I can get at the wire. That's the wire we want right there. Two of them into one.
What are we looking for?
Oh, I'm just thinking about 1.5 inches of wire off right here. Take the unit off and strip the end wire so you can put a connector on it. You will get a bunch of these in the kit too. That's what they're for. Now, want to strip the other end of it back about this far. And we're going to take the two of these and we're going to wind them together as tight as we can and insert them in the other end of the holder. Now we're going to crimp this one off. If you have a different way you'd like to do this, because you have, some people have ideas that this ain't right and other people have ideas of other things ain't right. Like I said, you can even take this and you can solder it in if you want. This time you plug it in where it goes, which is right here. Now we've got it all plugged in, and we're gonna, all we have left is a ground wire which goes to this post right here on your arm. Okay. Another little one, 1/4 inch, where do we have it? Here it is. There's also a hole up here you can ground to if you want. But that holds the unit in underneath there, and so this one only holds this down, which means it's not going to get in anybody's way. Okay, now we're grounded. The units in there are all plugged in. Watch your light on the back.
It did come on, then it went off.
Okay. Now if you'll watch what you're going to see, I'm going to turn the key on. And this only tells me when the light comes on that the pump is working. Now the pump has loaded the carburetor up in the lines, so it says I don't need you until you start. At the time you start the bike, that light will come back on because that's the circuit it's on. If that light does not come on when you first do it, you have a problem. I have a problem on my bike. If the light will not go on, that means the fuel pump did not go on, and that tells you you have another circuit bad. So this is like an indicator light. Okay. All this down to there. And all this over here. All right, we're all done with that. So see, now here's where you unhook this. Do not go yanking on it. Pull this end out right here, and you can simply feed this back through the line, take that one off, and leave all of this hooked to the tank. Don't try to pull them through the, pull it through the tank, because that fitting right there will not go. This way, if you have to take the tank out, it's very simple to get it out. Okay, now let me think, see where we're at now. We got that tight. Make sure you recheck everything and make sure all your bolts are tight at this time so you don't lose anything. These bolts are self-locking. They do not need eye locks will lock down very tight and stay that way, because they won't rust inside. All right, that takes care of that. All this is done. Tops are tight. All the sides tight. The wiring's in. The holes are slipped up. All we got to do is figure out your fuel columns.
Probably don't.
plug this in the other side. This one. Let me see what. Yeah, we'll tighten those, and then we're gonna have to work on that little light bulb before we go any farther, I think. Okay.
Careful.
Where's the screwdriver?
Push it on with this.
Yeah, if I can get it down tight enough. Go ahead. So we had a little trouble getting these two clips back on. I didn't take it off. So you'll know that you won't have that problem again. There's a little part you push right here before you take your air cleaner off, and you can simply loosen this. Take your air cleaner off and leave the hoses on. Once you put the air cleaner back on, it's very simple. You simply push it down like that. You won't have to redo those hoses again. Okay, now let's see what about your Pias and what we're going to stick.
Go for it.
Okay, I've installed one tie wrap around the frame, around the steel braided line, right down here to hold this so that it comes straight across. This steel braided line is like a hacksaw. Any place you can stop it from moving, put a tie wrap so it just simply sets there. If it can cut something, it will. If you tie wrap everything you can find on it, keep it in a good straight line and not let it wiggle around, you'll have no problem. I repaired one up in Canada where the lines for the license plate had come down this way. The steel braided line had literally chewed all the wiring right on through. Grounded out the bike, wouldn't run. So, and this was a boy from Canada, Chris White, wrecked his bike. So we've got the tank in, we've got our lights hooked up. All we have left to do is to put on the outer surface, the Tupperware on this, and put his two saddlebags on. And he has a Pia setup, which he had set right here, which is going to put us in trouble. We're going to find a different place to mount it, then we should be down the road. Okay. But if you put all your plastic and everything back on, everything will go on this very easily. And what we're going to do, we have turned the gas off on this unit. The main tank is as empty as we can get it, with no gas in it yet. So what we're going to do is check out the valves and all of this and make sure that nothing else there's anything we've forgotten. The gas will go from here into the main tank anyway, because that's what it's for. Stan, check that other gas can over there and see if there's more gas in it. You didn't have hardly any gas in the bike.
A little bit, not a whole lot.
Stan brought the bike over about as dry as he could get it, which is the best way to do this. And we have a little extra gas, so we're going to make sure that we've got enough gas to start the tank filling up the main tank. We'll gas this up on his way out of here. We're on the way to the girly show tonight, whatever he's going to do. I think Joe's pulling for the girly show. Once you've done that, you can look down below here and make sure all of these lines are dry when you do them. This line was turned off with the downward position to start with. We'll simply open it up to let the gas run from here into the bottom of the main tank. Then you can have it filled up. This cap at first will really be hard to tighten down, and that's because it is a vacuum system. All the system is the same as it was with just a main tank in it. And there's grinning, smiling Stan after losing a washer or two. Got a nut loose. You can show Stan's picture. What the hell? My camera's insured.
If it breaks.
If it breaks, it's insured.
Okay.
And this is what your bike will look like once you have it on. It's fairly decent. Stan watched every bit of the installation. It is not super hard. It just takes patience. He said patience is more than everything. If you take the time and don't get in a hurry to get this on, we've been a little over right at 5 hours, but we had to do some other work on Stan's bike because he had his PIA system in the way. We had to move it, and he had put washers back here to space his side rails out so that his saddlebags would be super tight. You do not need to have those in here because this sets against the back rails on the tank and will stop all vibrations. And I can see the circles on my tank from the last, I'd say good 4,000 miles and hasn't worn through this yet. If you scratch this trying to put it in, because these steel lines are, like I said, like files, they will scratch paint and stuff off. Get you a can of black wrinkle and just touch up. Anytime you scratch it, simply cover the areas around it so you won't get spray on everything, and just spray the scratched area, let it dry, and you'll never know you redid it because it'll wrinkle right back to the original shape. So all we have to do with Stan right now to be finished is taking him down off the rails, checking to see if his gas gauge is going up. And then we'll go up very little because Stan had very little gas in it.
Anything at all?
Yeah, well, it did start pulling gas because the low end was quite on the edge. Okay. They pulled enough gas into the main tank already. It doesn't take very long if you're only on the back tank and haven't turned it on and it's full and you turn it on. It takes about 5 minutes for enough gas to get in here to where while you're riding it will pull the rest in. You don't have to worry about that. Because several times I've run the main tank out with this tank full and just click it over and all the gas runs in and away it goes. Okay. And we'll edit just a little bit, the film you're getting, and I'll make sure that everything that I can think of is in here for you to look at. I think I put everything in the video. If not, you can call the shop for anything you think is a little problem for you or whoever is putting the tank in for you. Believe me, if you just take your time, you'll not tear anything up. There's nothing in here you're gonna mess with that's gonna hurt a darn thing. Everything in here will work perfect if you just take the time, follow the video. If there's something you don't understand, rewind it. If at that time you can't understand it or don't figure that it's going to work right for you, the simplest thing to do is call the shop here, and I'll be glad to let you know exactly what you need to do to get this system in, because it is really a simple system to put in. It takes about 4.5 hours, and we sort of had a good time here while we were doing it, so we weren't in a hurry. But I'd say 4.5 hours is a good time to put one in. It's not an easy system to put in, but it's a good system to put in. The lines I'm going to send you, that I told you we had a lot of trouble getting the one connector 90 on the end here. So what I'm going to do before I send them to you is put the two ends on and restart them once. That way when you get this one to put on, this is the only one you'll have to put on. The cap will already be on the line because they are really tight lines. I mean, it's really hard to put a stand. Watch me put them all on. That's why I'm putting them together for you, because if I don't, I know you're going to have trouble just trying to get them on. That's all I'm going to say for right now. Stan, you have a good trip.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, now let's put her down and see if she wants to start.